Solo Leveling, Ragnarok. By Dang Du. Chapter 31. The enemies from outer universes were still unaware of Suho's existence. However, if they eventually discovered the fact that the Monarch of Shadows had a son, Suho would become his sole vulnerability, one capable of altering the course of the war. Just taking him hostage could make Sung Jinhwa's forces waver. As such, Suho needed to get stronger quickly. In the end, it's all about leveling up. Suho nodded his head and surveyed the shadow dungeon. The daily quest had finished, but it still seemed like a good idea to hunt more goblins. After all, the hidden quest rewarded him for hunting more than the predetermined amount. Perhaps that was what the system wanted from the start. Gray. Woof? Gray reluctantly lifted his head. Essel. Suho looked at Gray and Essel and smiled. Now that you guys have finished eating, how about paying me back for the meal? Gray, who hadn't been able to even take a single bite of a pig, wore a disgruntled expression, but he knew that hunting and feasting on the fruits of his labor would be more helpful for his growth. Goblin Sorcerer has been defeated. Goblin Archer has been defeated. Level up. Suho, Essel, and Gray continued to roam the shadow dungeon, hunting goblins. Sniff, sniff. Gray was physically weak but had an excellent sense of smell, typical of a hunter. The Feng wolf consistently sniffed out the smell of goblins hidden throughout the dungeon. Swish. On the other hand, Essel was a master of spear techniques. No matter how weakened the demon noble was, goblins were far from being a worthy challenge for her. In fact, she would sometimes plunge her hand into a goblin's body and suck out their magical energy like a snack. EW. Tastes bad. She eats with her hands, yet she's still able to sense taste. Then, does she brush her fingernails instead of her teeth? Demons are so fascinating. Suho gazed at her as if she were some peculiar creature. Essel furrowed her brow and cocked her head in silence, confused. They continued to hunt down the dimensional refugees until they couldn't find any more to kill. There's not even a whiff of goblins around here. It seems like we've mostly wiped out, doesn't it? Essel asked. I don't see any here either. Suho stopped in his tracks and lowered his sword. Swoosh. Rakan's Fong floated in the air with the power of ruler's authority. Flying over to the hilt, Baru landed on it like a sparrow. Young monarch, I've circled around, and it really seems like they're all gone. Well done, everyone. What shall we do now? We'll wait here until more come. Suho established an area on the open field with a clear view in all directions. It was essentially a base camp. We don't know when or where they might come pouring in again, so let's keep scouting the area with this spot as our center. Of course, we means all of you, not me. All of us? Gray and Essel perked up their ears at his words. They'll help as well. The shadow goblins also began scouting the surroundings. Their appearance resembled that of bandits raiding a village, but they were actually on the side of good, not evil. Suho's objective was to confirm the sighting of goblins being transported into the shadow dungeon with his own eyes. Considering the existence of the daily quest, it was certain that they would reappear before the day was over. Fine. It's fair that we work for our meal, Essel answered, unconsciously licking her lips. Thanks to Suho, she had a rare opportunity to feast, but the long-lasting hunger couldn't be satisfied overnight. Goblins might not taste good, but at least they'd amount to plenty of meat. The thought made her salivate as she hoped that they would appear soon. She glanced at Gray, who had the same expression. Woof? Essel stared back in silence, feeling conflicted. It seemed like she and the wolf pup were now on the same level. Do you want to exit the shadow dungeon? Suho left the shadow dungeon to Essel and Gray. I've caught so many goblins, and all I got was a single level up. To become truly strong, he needed to venture into more challenging dungeons. Suho had several options at the moment. One was to threaten Rakan's Fong to reveal the location of a new sanctuary. But just because it was an important artifact, it didn't mean that it knew everything. The sword had promised to inform Suho if it sensed the presence of a new sanctuary, so waiting seemed like the best course of action for now. The second option was to find the elusive Stardust factory where he could hunt demons, but he had no immediate leads to its whereabouts. And third, his last choice was to explore Magok. It's probably a good idea to check there first. Magok was a neighborhood of Gangseo district. The area was once rich in hemp, but it became better known as the epicenter of the worst dungeon break in history a year ago. People started calling the area Demon Valley or the Demon Lands. Soon after, Magok was swiftly designated as one of the most dangerous field-type dungeons in South Korea, causing nearby populations to sharply decrease. The Gwanaksan and Seoul Station fields also both emerged just a year ago. Surely, it's not just a coincidence. Looking back on all that had happened so far, Suho was certain that Magok was related in some way. I guess I'll have to find out. The bus door opened, and Suho stepped out. He had arrived somewhere near Magok using public transportation. The world was a different place to a year ago, but trains and buses still operated smoothly. It made him feel like he was living inside a paradox. A perfectly ordinary, civilized city was only just a few steps away from a hellish landscape teeming with magic beasts. Even now, hunters were working diligently to reclaim and purify such areas. But at the same time, new gates were opening elsewhere. But this place. As they got closer to Magok, Baru grew more serious. The Magok field on the horizon was a jungle covered in a blue haze and lush forest. It definitely feels like a dangerous place, but not for me, of course. Hee, Baru boasted earnestly. He then suddenly tilted his head and asked, "Young monarch, why is there no barbed wire here?" Most field-type dungeons, like the Gwanaksan field or the Seoul Station field, were enclosed by long stretches of barbed wire to prevent monsters from coming out. However, when they arrived in Magok, there were no such signs. There's no point in having barbed wire here. The area is too vast, and besides, it wouldn't serve any purpose. Why not? Most of the magic beasts here are plant types, so they can't leave anyway. Surprisingly, plant-type monsters couldn't take root in lands without the blue haze, which was fortunate from the perspective of Earth's inhabitants. Otherwise, the dungeon's vegetation would have already overrun the planet. Is that so? What an interesting place. Baru gazed curiously at the landscape in front of him. He detected the presence of life, but they weren't the magic plants Suho had mentioned. Young monarch, isn't this field occupied by another guild? As far as I know, it's not. I even looked it up on the internet. It turned out that the Magok field was open for all hunters to use. Managing an area teeming with plant-type magic beasts was a cumbersome task for most guilds. Furthermore, selling their remains didn't yield much profit. Of course, ongoing research had the potential to change their value in the future, but for now, the area failed to attract the attention of contemporary hunters. People say you can also see ghosts here. Ghosts, you say? Baru grew even more intrigued. Of course, the ghosts in question weren't the kind that appeared in horror movies. They were ghost-type magic beasts. This jungle was home to more than plant-type monsters. Ghost-type monsters were elusive, making it difficult to obtain their remains no matter how hard one tried. It was perfectly natural that hunters disliked this place. There was no profit to be made. But I'm different. Experience points are more important to me than monster corpses. Just as Suho set foot into Magok Field. It's a sanctuary. Raken's Fong urgently called out from Suho's inventory, having been silent as it was stored away. Suho paused in surprise. He immediately took out the sword and inquired, "What? A sanctuary? Here?" "That's right. The aura of a sanctuary fills this area. It seems that this dense jungle and the blue mist are preventing the sanctuary's aura from flowing out." Baru turned to look at Suho. "That must mean there's an artifact somewhere nearby similar to Raken's Fong. Or perhaps a boss monster like Brokey," Suho added. "Either way, it's a win, is it not?" "You're right. If it's an artifact, we get an item. And if it's a boss monster, I get experience points and a shadow soldier. Suho blinked his eyes and gazed at the lush jungle. A jungle run by plant-type monsters and ghosts made the Magok field an annoying and troublesome place for many hunters. But fortunately, he had a trustworthy compass to lead him toward the sanctuary. Suho held Raken's phone forward. Do you know its location? It's this way. The sword moved its tip, pointing toward the center of the sanctuary. Suho boldly leaped into the jungle with the artifact held high. Suho wasn't the only hunter exploring the Magok field. Vice Guild Master, it's been 2 days already. How long do you plan to stay here? We're not complaining. It's just that it would help if we knew what our exact schedule and purpose is. The hunters from the White Tiger Guild had been wandering aimlessly in the jungle for the past 2 days. The reason for their seemingly endless trek was their Vice Guild Master, Baek Miho. But no one dared to openly voice their complaints to the fearsome second-in-command. Especially since Baek Yunho, the Guild Master of the White Tiger Guild and her father, was currently on a mission abroad, making her the de facto leader. Someone keeps calling for me. Baek Miho had been experiencing strange auditory hallucinations recently. Prove your worth. The voice began suddenly. Prove your worth. Initially, she had dismissed it as a temporary concern, but the voice grew louder as time passed and eventually led her all the way to Magok. What could possibly be here? Why do I need to prove my worth? She was equally frustrated as she was confused. But it was clear there was something here, since the voice inside her head stopped as soon as she set foot in the jungle. A sudden rustle broke her concentration, and the hunters shuddered once they saw her face. Her eyes. They could see her pupils narrow into a crescent shape. Suddenly, Baek Miho's eyes were shining yellow. She's using Beast's eyes. The Beast transformation skill had made her who she is today. Even though she had only revealed a small part of her power, the pressure was immense. Prove your worth. It started again. The voice returned to her mind. However, the words were slightly different from before. Prove you are worthy of being king. Baek Miho removed the hairband wrapped around her wrist and tightly tied back her hair, which resembled a lion's mane. With Beast's eyes, she glared fiercely toward the direction the voice echoed from. Everyone, prepare for battle. Chapter 32.
Prove you are worthy of being king. Suddenly, there was a rustling sound. Suho's sensory stats detected a disturbance in the jungle. The area seemed to be in turmoil. Suho stopped in his tracks and looked at Raken's phone. Did you say something just now? It wasn't me. The voice I heard was exactly like yours. It's only natural. It's a message from the artifact of this sanctuary. We are the same kind. Suho tilted his head. The same kind? Correct. It's another Fang. You didn't think Raken, the monarch of fangs, the king of beasts, only had one Fang, did you? Oh, I see. Usually there are 4. Actually, there are only 2. Suho blinked unabashedly, staring at Raken's Fang.
Ahem.
2 fangs were made into significant artifacts. Suho gave him another piercing look, and the sword explained, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but I'm Raken's milk teeth. Milk teeth, a common name for deciduous teeth, were the first set of teeth that fell out while one was still growing. The lower tribes created me from one of the teeth that fell out as Raken grew. They received 2 fangs back then, and that's why there are 2 artifacts. Once again, the other voice pierced through into his mind. Prove you are worthy of being king. Suho abruptly asked, what does this voice want? Why is it asking to prove that I'm worthy of becoming king? When the lower tribes created me, they hoped that the future ruler would be born from one of them. Now that Raken is gone, it's finally time to choose a new king. The so-called trial of the king has begun.
Oh.
Intrigued, Suho asked, so, does that mean that if I pass this trial, I could also become the monarch of fangs? Of course, it's possible, but only if you want to become a beast. A beast, naturally. We're choosing the king of beasts, so shouldn't the candidates be prepared to become one? I'm not too fond of that idea. Seeing Suho's disgusted expression, Rakkensfong scoffed and continued. That means you were ineligible from the start. Besides, the message isn't directed at you. It's a general call for those inside this sanctuary. Young monarch. Baru, who had been scouting, returned to Suho. There are other hunters here wandering the jungle. However, Before the ant could finish, a series of thuds came from a distance, and Suho leaped high onto a tree branch. From a high vantage point, he looked down toward the source of the commotion. An interesting scene was unfolding, and a gleam of curiosity sparkled in his eyes. Choosing the new king of the beasts. Huh? They're all using the beast transformation skill, Baru reported. Throughout the jungle, hunters had transformed their bodies partially or entirely into beast-like forms and were engaged in numerous battles. Some had wings on their backs like eagles, while others had turned into huge creatures with bear-like fur. The variety was truly remarkable. Prove you are worthy of being king. They were battling throughout the entire jungle, drenched in madness to prove their eligibility. It seems like the artifact here called forth every beast with the potential of becoming a king.
Crack.
Suddenly, there was a rustling sound. Suho, sensing a presence beneath his feet, twisted his body and leaped off the tree branch. Swish. Surprisingly, the attack came from the trees themselves. Are they branches? Even during his descent, numerous trees whipped him with vine-like branches. Ruler's authority. The skill wasn't powerful enough to lift Suho's body, but it allowed him to momentarily perform a double jump, treading the air to leap once more. He twirled in the air like a circus performer, avoiding the whip-like tendrils and landing safely on the ground. The battle intensified as the plant-type magic beasts began to attack Suho from all directions. He immediately wielded Rakkensfong and Vulcan's horn. Prove you are worthy of being king, the persistent voice continued amid the chaos. Suho couldn't help but feel he was being forced into something. I thought I wasn't worthy enough to take this trial to begin with. It's a matter of timing. You happened to enter the sanctuary as the trial of the king began. Or perhaps the trial began because one of two significant artifacts, entered this place. So, the other artifact is causing us all this trouble. Suho decided to think simply. Let's ditch the test and find out where this unwanted proctor is. We'll find it then break it. Who dares to test us? Baru's eyes narrowed ominously. It's that way. The direction Rakkensfong had been pointing at for a while was precisely where the other artifact was located. Suho rushed toward the location, slashing through plant-type magic beasts on the way. The deeper they ventured into the jungle, the denser the blue mist became. The atmosphere felt almost dreamlike, but it soon turned into a scene from a nightmare. The ghosts are coming. Hunters undergoing the trial of the king quickly became alert and vigilant. Eerie sounds of wind came from all directions and sent shivers down their spines. A single plant-type magic beast was not strong enough to pose a threat. However, the level of danger changed drastically when surrounded by an entire jungle full of them. Regardless of their rank, hunters were ultimately humans composed of flesh and blood. A sharp branch could suddenly dart from anywhere and pierce through their throats or hearts, taking their lives in the blink of an eye. The jungle was filled with such terrifying assassins, and to make matters worse, ghosts were now added to the mix. There's a reason why this field isn't popular. I agree. It's just too dangerous, and there's nothing to gain from it. This jungle was a bustling city just a year ago. Magok was not only home to many residents, but also boasted a substantial business district that drew in people from other cities. But one day, a gate suddenly opened, leading to a catastrophe. Many people lost their lives, and those who were lucky enough to escape with their lives were left without their livelihoods. The ghosts of the perished have haunted this land ever since. Screech. This is bad. It's a banshee. Everyone, cover your ears. A banshee was a ghost-type magic beast, and their wailing severely impaired their target's sense of direction. Their screeches were the worst possible form of attack for the hunters navigating through the jungle, as their hearing had been heightened due to their beast transformation skills. Some even began to vomit from the sound. Prove you are worthy of being king, the mysterious voice continued to taunt them. Temporarily deprived of their vision and hearing, the hunters realized the true nature of the test as the voice echoed in their minds.
Got it.
They realized that a faint scent was pulling them somewhere. The trail smelled of pure magical energy, a scent only detectable if one's primal instincts were heightened. That's it. The voice was testing us with this scent. The hunters focused on their sense of smell, but the trees exploited their momentary vulnerability.
Ouch.
Even as the hunters tore at the vines that stabbed into their thighs, their eyes burned with primal determination. I must find it. I will find it and become the king. None of them knew what kind of king they were fighting to become, but they continued to fight mindlessly as if they had been possessed. Something seems odd. Beck Miho, who had been tracking the scent more diligently while fighting the ghosts, suddenly halted. The other members of the White Tiger Guild following behind her looked puzzled. Vice Guild Master, why did you suddenly stop? Miho looked discontented. Despite the unfolding chaos, her beast's eyes were fixed on a distant point. She was well aware that they weren't only hunters in the jungle. The other hunters had transformed into their respective beast forms and were competing with one another to reach the same location. Miho's primal instincts were no different, but a growing anxiousness suddenly stopped her in her tracks and made her doubt the need to be there. Her pride was triggered by the mindless race she was in. I'm starting to feel like a plaything for someone. I don't like it. A plaything? I'm not sure what you mean. The White Tiger Guild is immediately withdrawing from this unknown trial. Her team was taken aback by the sudden declaration of withdrawal. They had entered the jungle in complete mystery yesterday, unable to fathom the reason behind Miho's decision to enter. However, their doubts disappeared after the trial of the king began. Regardless of what awaited them at the end, the promise of becoming king had ignited their ambitions. But now, their vice guild master was suddenly putting an end to their desires and acted at odds with their collective psychological urge. It feels like I've become a real beast, running toward an unknown goal fueled by nothing but primal urges. It's repulsive. It's not like we're dogs in heat. Beck Miho smacked her lips, deactivating Beast's eyes. So, are we going back now?
No.
She no longer wanted her team to wander the jungle like headless chickens with the other clueless hunters, but she was still curious about who would ultimately emerge as the victor. We're moving to higher ground with a clear line of sight. Yes, understood. Without a word of protest, her guild members followed her decision. But then, a peculiar sound cut through the air. Cutting through the bustling undergrowth, a group of werewolves suddenly appeared. Miho's gaze changed as she immediately recognized the group. The White Tiger Guild was the most famous beast transformation guild in South Korea. Consequently, they kept a separate list of hunters from other guilds who possessed the same skill with the goal of potentially recruiting them in the future. She was fully aware of their identities. Last remaining twerps of the Hyena Guild. It seemed like the group had evaded police arrest. They, too, were drawn here by the desire to prove themselves worthy of being king. However, the problem for her was their inherently wicked nature, and having served Brokey for a long time, the criminals understood the trial of the king better than anyone else. There can be only one king. The werewolves quickly shook off the coincidence and let out a ferocious battle cry, immediately launching a relentless attack. Kill them.
Roar.
The White Tiger Guild was the most qualified candidate in the jungle, and if they didn't kill the werewolves, their claim to the throne could be usurped. Their blatant aggression brought out Miho's true inner beast, something she had barely managed to contain this whole time. She clicked her tongue with an annoyed expression. A bunch of ignorant pups. Her hair tie snapped, and her bleach white hair burst out like a lion's mane. Beast transformation. Beck Miho revealed her true power, her half-beast form, and clawed tore through the heart of the leader of the pack. Prove you are worthy of being king. Huh. The voice seemed to take pleasure in her carnage as it echoed in her head. Kill them and kill them again. Only the strong survive until the end. Is this what it wants? Beck Miho realized what the voice genuinely wanted. It's a fight to the death. The realization repulsed her. She detested the voice even more as it was forcing people into killing each other. Her heightened hearing picked out the screams of deluded hunters killing one another senselessly. The entire jungle was in a fight to the death. I don't like this one bit. Beck Miho gritted her teeth as she fought off the hyena guild. Suddenly, she noticed a person wielding 2 words walking in the distance. His calm demeanor and leisurely pace seemed out of place. Why is he alone? Did he kill all his companions? He's the worst of the lot, if that's the case. Miho couldn't forgive anyone who would kill their comrades blinded by their greed for power. But something else was odd with the mysterious figure. I can't smell any blood. Maybe he hasn't killed anyone. Then why is he by himself? Beck Miho kept stealing glances at him in between the fighting until she could no longer see him.
Chapter 33. There were more people with the beast transformation skill than I thought. Separated from other hunters, Suho was crossing the jungle without hesitation. But in his way, numerous ghosts appeared and attacked him. Meanwhile, tainted branches aggressively targeted him from all directions, attempting to kill him. Screech. Banshee activated the skill, Wail. Directional sense is lost for 10 minutes. To make matters worse, a banshee began to wail overhead, disorienting Suho's mind. Ruler's authority. The invisible hand reached out and grabbed the banshee's throat, snapping it. The banshee perished with a shocked cry. Banshee has been defeated. Skill, Wail has been cancelled. You better not cry or else Santa Claus won't give you any gifts, Suho chuckled as he systematically killed off every banshee as they appeared. He then went after the clusters of ghosts coming at him from every direction as his dual swords spun like windmills. Skill, Storm Slash has activated. Ghost has been defeated. Ghost has been defeated. Ghost has been defeated. Storm Slash was highly effective in battles against multiple foes. However, even after defeating so many ghosts, there was no sign of his level increasing. Then I'll just have to kill more. After all, he had no choice but to defeat all of them to move forward. Skill, Storm Slash has activated. Skill, Storm Slash has activated. Ghost has been defeated. Ghost has been defeated. The days of Storm Slash depleting his mana with a single use were long gone. He was able to use the skill a whopping 8 times with his current mana pool. But even after defeating so many, I'm not leveling up. It felt as if he was gaining 0 experience points. Could it be? Are they mere parts of a whole? Suho's eyes gleamed with a blue coldness as he scanned his surroundings. Thanks to his heightened sense stat, his field of vision was just as good as the beast-transformed hunters. Found it. He immediately pinpointed the most dangerous presence in this intricate jungle, and he swiftly changed direction and sprinted toward it. His sword-turned compass, Rockin's Fong, asked for clarification. Where are we going? We're just making a quick stop. The sword was leading them toward a slightly different path, but the brief detour wasn't completely off course. What's this now? Shortly after sprinting off, Suho spotted a peculiar-looking tree. Phantom tree. Phantom tree? A sacred tree that protects the sanctuary. Rockin's Fong identified its nature. This is considered sacred? Suho raised his head to examine the phantom tree. It looked more like a sinister tree used for rituals than a sacred entity. Fittingly, new ghosts were sprouting from the twisted branches of the phantom tree like fruits. Baru explained with a gleam in his eyes, "It seems like this is a ghost tree that grew by absorbing and nourishing itself with the corpses of humans who died on this land. So, the ghosts are an extension of this thing. No wonder I wasn't leveling up." In the end, he had found the right target. Beaming, Suho raised Rockin's Fong in the air using ruler's authority. He held Vulcan's horn with both hands and swung it like an axe, ruthlessly hacking away at the phantom tree. A tremendous sound echoed through the area, but the phantom tree stood firmly in its place. "You think you've got high defenses, huh? Let's see who wins." Suho gritted his teeth and began a relentless assault on the phantom tree. Suddenly, a loud howl filled the air, and sinister crimson shadows lunged at Suho as he attacked the phantom tree. He quickly stepped back and parried their clawed attacks with his sword. Dungeon Jackal. Dungeon Jackal. The dungeon jackals menacingly surrounded Suho to prevent his escape. Their eyes had already identified him as prey. As guardians of the sacred tree of the sanctuary, their aura was distinct from ordinary dungeon jackals. However, this made Suho even more delighted. Great. You guys might be worth the trouble. Suho licked his lips as an explosive surge of energy radiated from his body. Title: Wolf Slayer buff effect has been activated. When facing beast-type monsters, all stats increase by 40%. Wary of the new threat, the dungeon jackals instinctively crouched down and were ready for battle. The one they had seen as weak prey now exuded the aura of an overwhelming predator. Roar! Suho swung his sword at the dungeon jackals charging towards him. Shadow Jackal, Level 1 Normal Grade. Shadow Jackal, Level 1 Normal Grade. The new shadow soldiers were shrouded in dark energy. Baru stood atop their heads with a smug expression, nodding nonchalantly. Hee hee. Yes, from now on, serve the young monarch obediently. This is why we lost the war. Rakkensfong's voice was accompanied by a sigh. Ignoring his sword, Suho fervently hacked away at the side of the phantom tree. Numerous ghosts tried to hinder him, but now the shadowy jackals were in between, providing reliable protection. Suddenly, an indignant voice rang out, "No, you are supposed to protect the phantom tree, not allow intruders to do this." "Hey! Whose side are you on?" Baru exclaimed. "It wasn't me who said that," Rakkensfong retorted. "Huh?" It seemed like Suho was being watched by the other artifact from a distance. "I think that will do it," Suho said as he landed his final blow, and the massive phantom tree began to fall backward with a resounding thud. The phantom tree has been destroyed. The surrounding ghosts will vanish. At that moment, the ghosts that had been swirling around Suho scattered and disappeared. Level up. Whoa, I leveled up just like that? Suho's eyes widened. He had leveled up after chopping down just one tree. Suho quickly scanned the surroundings and then leaped onto a nearby tree to reach a higher vantage point. He looked ahead to assess the situation in other areas. He could see more ghosts in the distance roaming around and attacking hunters. Seems like there's more than one phantom tree. Suho's eyes lit up. He knew that the locations of the next two were well known to their former guardians. Lead the way. With his command, the shadow jackals charged ahead toward the location of the second phantom tree. What was that? The sound Miho heard suggested that something big had collapsed somewhere in the jungle. She had already dealt with all the hyena guild members and was surveying the area. She turned her head towards the source of the sound. That's where that man went earlier, isn't it? She also noticed that there were slightly fewer ghosts around, and hoped she wasn't imagining things. No, it's not my imagination. Their numbers have definitely decreased, by 1/3 to be exact. This allowed her a chance to catch her breath. Miho turned to the only werewolf she kept alive for information. He was covered in blood and pinned down. Her crescent-shaped pupils met the terrified eyes of the survivor before her. Do you want to live? Why yes, I want to live, the werewolf answered desperately. Then prove it. Show me why I should spare your life. Excuse me. Tell me everything you know. As Miho bared her teeth, the werewolf felt like a helpless animal before its hunter. Monarchs? Miho blurted with a curious expression, shortly after the werewolf's explanation. She hadn't expected much, but the information the werewolf had provided was turning out to be quite valuable. So, you're saying that there was a king who ruled over magic beasts? Yes, exactly. But that king died and disappeared a long time ago. And now the throne is vacant. So, all this commotion is over choosing a new king? Yes, that's right. We came running here because we suddenly heard strange voices in our heads. The werewolf, unwilling to die like his other companions, spilled every single thing he knew. It seemed that the hyena guild members had thought that the voices inside their heads were unique to them. Since they had awakened from drinking the blood of the Fong clan, they had judged themselves to be worthy of being the next king of beasts. But they quickly realized how wrong they were once they entered the jungle. Any hunter with the power of a beast was qualified to be king, and every hunter worth their salt was gunning for the title in a fight to the death. To be king. Beck Miho was lost in thought for a moment. She would be lying to herself if she denied her ambition. Even at this moment, the voice in her head was stoking her desires, urging her to prove her worth. Prove you are worthy of being king. But it still smells fishy. No matter how much she thought about it, she couldn't imagine that magic beasts had approached humans with good intentions. Let alone let a human become their next king. This is all a sick joke. Miho chuckled and clenched her fist. It was the right decision not to step forward. However, she was curious about the outcome of the trial of the king. In fact, she was afraid of the outcome. She wondered what kind of evil the magic beasts could be planning under the pretext of the trial. Why did father have to be absent at a time like this? She let out a heavy sigh, thinking of her father. If magic beasts truly intended to choose a human as their king, there was no one more qualified than the S-rank hunter, Baek Yunho. But Miho was certain. If father were here, he would have undoubtedly made the same decision as me. Prove you are worthy of being king. Ugh. Why can't someone turn that thing off? Miho's head throbbed as the voice continued to appeal to her competitive urges. Kill them, and kill them again. Suddenly, the same loud noise from earlier echoed throughout the jungle, and the voice deviated from its usual repertoire. The one who survives till the end. Arg. Please stop this nonsense. Huh? What's going on now? The voice had erupted in frustration. Miho and the other hunters looked bewildered and raised their heads in surprise. Even the werewolf who had been begging for his life perked up his ears with a puzzled expression. Just like that, the mysterious droning in their heads came to an abrupt halt. They also noticed that the number of ghosts had dwindled by half. What's happening? Is the trial finished? Miho asked herself. But that wasn't the case. After a brief pause, the voice started again, pretending as if nothing had happened. Prove you are worthy of being. Ouch. No. Please. Not that one. That's the only one left, I tell you. Huh? What on earth is happening? Chapter 34. The artifact was genuinely perplexed. An uninvited guest had audaciously barged into the honorable test ground for the new king. Phantom trees were monstrosities that fed on the spirits of the departed who had met their end in this land. There were originally 3 of them protecting the sanctuary, but now only 1 remained. Much to the artifact's dismay, the last remaining tree was being ruthlessly destroyed by the intruder. Stop it. Please, stop. Oh, the power of the sanctuary. The trial of the king. Ignoring its outburst, Suho continued to hack away at the 3rd phantom tree with ferocity as if he had gone insane. Meanwhile, the shadow jackals, now multiplied to 6, stood guard by his side with an air of composure and vigilance. Once I crush this one, it's another level up. Unfortunately, the destruction of the 2nd phantom tree didn't trigger a level up. As his level increased, it seemed he required more experience points to level up. However, the experience told Suho that it was sure to work this time, and he swung his sword even faster. However, unlike the excited Suho, the other artifact continued to invade his mind to make him stop. Please. That's the last phantom tree. I nurtured that tree with so much care. I can't hear you, I can't hear you. I know you can hear me. Don't interfere with the trial of the king, you unqualified intruder. The other artifact's words struck a chord with Suho, and he promptly stopped. Unqualified, you say? He tilted his head back and revealed a mischievous smile. We both know that you're not actually going to choose a king. So, why all of this fuss? His question was answered with silence, which Suho expected with some certainty, being the owner of one of Raken's fangs. You intend to take over the body of the last surviving human, right? Raken's fang, when hosted by a lesser being, would take possession of their physical form. However, this time, the added criterion was royal caliber. No matter how hard humans tried, they'd never be worthy of becoming the next monarch of fangs in the minds of the former's descendants. Crash! At that moment, Suho's sword finally destroyed the last phantom tree. The phantom tree has been destroyed. All ghosts will vanish. Level up. All the ghosts in Magok Field disappeared along with the last tree. The relentless wails that had been echoing non-stop vanished, casting a heavy silence over the jungle. Finally, at the end of the suffocating stillness, the relic asked, "You know quite a lot about me, don't you? What is your true identity?" The question was directed at Suho, but being audible to all, the underlying intent sent shivers down the spines of every hunter inside the Magok Field. Suddenly, the forest began to tremble, and the earth beneath shook as if it was about to crumble. What's happening? What in the world is going on right now? An unsettling earthquake began beneath their feet, and the remaining hunters in the forest paled rapidly. On the other hand, Suho chuckled and asked Rakan's Fong, "Seems like this artifact is stronger than you, right?" "No chance." "It seems that it has found a useful vessel," the sword's voice echoed sarcastically. "But I've done better. I discovered a creature with a true claim to the throne." Gray was the last true heir of the Fong clan, and although he had become Suho's pet inside the Shadow Dungeon, it wasn't a significant concern for the sword. Rakan's Fong was confident that being by Suho's side would help Gray grow into a stronger ruler. "Do you know what purpose artifacts serve?" "What is it?" "We make our chosen successors compete with one another to prove they are worthy of becoming king." The sword moved to point toward the location of the other artifact. "Go. Prove that our claim is more worthy." Suho turned his gaze to the shadow jackals. "Jackals. Take me there." Following his command, a shadow jackal approached Suho and let him climb onto its back, and then began to sprint through the dense forest with dazzling speed. As they approached the epicenter of the earthquake, the jungle grew denser. All sorts of plant-type magic beasts filled the surroundings. No hunter had likely ventured so far. Regardless of the lack of financial incentives, it was extremely perilous. "These plants here are thirsty for blood. It seems like they've developed a taste for humans." Baru spoke the truth. The reason why Magok turned into a jungle infested with dangerous magic plants was the unfortunate location where the gate had emerged Seoul's biggest botanical garden. The gate to another world emerged at the heart of the botanical garden, and the blue mist that flowed out permeated the diverse flora within the garden, forcing a series of bizarre evolutions. As a result, the city turned into a hellish collection of life-threatening vegetation. The damage might have been less had the gate appeared on a mountain like Gwanaksan. The species of plants on an ordinary mountain were far less diverse compared to a botanical garden. It also didn't help that the botanic garden was in the heart of the city. The monstrous plants contaminated with mana devoured countless humans in the city and underwent more grotesque mutations. The jungle was the culmination of every misfortune the city had encountered. Magok Botanical Garden. A giant tree was now growing where the botanical garden once was. It writhed and moved as if it were alive. Suho narrowed his eyes and carefully examined the giant tree. He was able to realize its true nature in no time. It's not a tree, is it?" He was right. What appeared to be a single tree was a conglomeration of thousands of plants from the botanical garden, twisting and entangling with one another to cover the building in the shape of a colossal tree. "A nest for the king." Rakan's Fong carried an excited tone. "The other Fong has managed to grow such a large sanctuary. I guess I have to give it some credit for this one." Suddenly, the tightly sealed doors of the rundown building, covered in dense ivy, swung wide open. "It wants us to come in." "Young monarch, it might be a trap." Suho's lips curled up slightly in response to Baru's concern. "If it's a trap, we'll break through." Swish! With two swords in his hands, he stepped into the entrance. "You have entered the dungeon." The corrupted botanical garden engulfed Suho, and then the ivy wrapped itself around the door, sealing it once more. The inside of the ruined building was quiet and dark without a hint of light. Suho maximized his sensory perception to adapt to the darkness. He retrieved the crow mask from his inventory and wore it to gain better visibility. Spider webs came into focus. Huh. Look at this, Suho muttered as he surveyed his surroundings. Everything around him was covered in white spider webs. So, this was the trap? He then heard some rustling. The noise grew louder as spider-type monsters of all sizes crawled on the webs, eyeing the intruder. Tomb spider. Tomb spider. Tomb spiders. What a fitting name. It seemed that the spiders had already welcomed some guests prior to his arrival, transformed hunters who had followed the garden's scent and entered here while Suho was busy taking care of the phantom trees. They were entangled in spider webs and hung from the ceiling. Some had their mouths covered, but the others who didn't screamed desperately. Save. Please save us. They are sacrifices. Tributes for the king. Raken's Fong's words gently rang inside Suho's head as he stared into the deep abyss far away. There, a spider the size of a house was crouched in the shadows. The arachnid had dozens of eyes, a gruesome mouth, and a pair of massive pincers. Giant tomb spider. It was truly an enormous and imposing spider. I can sense the aura of the artifact inside that creature. Raken's Fong's words made Suho's eyes narrow. Then, I guess we need to cut its belly open and retrieve it. He sprang towards the creature fearlessly with tremendous force. As he launched himself into the air, tomb spiders poured down from the walls and ceiling toward him. Take care of the little ones. Roar. The shadow jackals leaped and attacked the tomb spiders, tearing them apart with their strong claws and powerful fangs. Tomb spider has been defeated. Tomb spider has been defeated. Tomb spider has been defeated. Numerous messages popped up simultaneously. Suho chose to ignore them all and focused solely on what lay ahead. There's only one goal. The giant spider spewed white silk towards Suho. I'll tear through it. His two swords began to twist simultaneously. Skill, Storm Slash has activated. The spider's web was mercilessly torn apart by the dual blades. The enormous spider revealed itself beyond the torn silk as its pincers descended from above. Suho would have been crushed by its pincers had he not moved. The giant spider withdrew its pincers from the stone floor and rose once more. Suho's gaze sharpened. It's coming again. He twisted his body to evade and dodged it once more. Enraged, the spider began to strike recklessly with its pincers. The relentless assault continued, shattering the entire floor unpredictably. Suho felt as if he was battling with heavy construction machinery. Despite this, he identified an opening. There it is. I can feel it. His sense stats had increased thanks to his items, which allowed his danger detection skills to shine brightly. Suho deftly evaded the giant spider's ceaseless attacks, inching closer with each dodge. Once he got close enough, he struck the pillar-like leg of the creature with Raken's Fong. The impact sent the creature reeling, and Suho pivoted to the other side, slashing with Vulcan's horn once more. Having temporarily gained the upper hand, his dual swords unleashed a relentless flurry of strikes. Skill, the level of dual sword mastery has increased. Amid the relentless barrage of powerful strikes, the creature let out a roar. A voice echoed out from the creature's body. It won't be that easy. No matter how much you struggle, in the end, you'll be my prey. It won't be that easy. Suho understood why. The exoskeleton is quite tough. But who cares? A strong defense simply means that I'll have to crush it even harder. I'm your prey? Don't make me laugh. A wide smile formed across his face. You're my prey. The thought of killing this creature and commanding it as a shadow soldier thrilled him. Skill, Storm Slash has activated. Chapter 35. The relentless onslaught of attacks continued, resulting in a fascinating occurrence. Effect, Fatal Strike has been activated. This was an ability attached to Raken's Fong. Suho had triggered a special effect that had a 15% chance of dealing more than double the critical damage. This was just the beginning. Effect, Fatal Strike has been activated. Effect, Fatal Strike has been activated. As the number of Suho's attacks accumulated, critical hits continued to occur. Unable to withstand the power, one of the arachnid's leg joints eventually snapped, and the beast screamed as it staggered. Suho seized the opportunity. Stepping on the broken leg, he leaped and landed on the spider's back. Then, gripping his two swords in reverse, he thrust them straight into the spider's tough carapace. More precisely, into the gaps visible between the carapace plates. Green blood splattered as a piercing screech echoed. The giant tomb spider violently writhed and slammed its body against the walls to dislodge Suho. However, he clung to its back more tenaciously and thrust his swords deeper into the carapace. Giant tomb spider used skill, puppetry has activated. Giant tomb spider used skill, puppetry has activated. At that moment, Suho instinctively flipped his body and leaped high to evade. Then, a sharp attack cut through the space he left behind. Suho managed to land on the spider's back again and turned his head to identify the source of the assailants. I am sorry. Our bodies, they're moving on their own. The hunters entangled in spider silk were in a frenzy and attacked him. They're like puppets. People suspended on the walls and ceilings were forcibly being manipulated by the spider silk. Floating in the air, their movements eerily resembled zombies. Baru! Suho yelled as he struggled on the spider's back, swaying back and forth. The ant beast appeared promptly. Yes. Shall we begin? Baru had been holding back from the battles until now, fearing that he might steal Suho's experience points. Contrarily, he had no reason to stay out of the battle as long as he didn't take away the experience points. The ant swiftly turned his head and held fiercely at the hunters attacking the young monarch. How dare these pests dare disturb the young monarch's righteous battle? Baru's claws slashed toward the hunters at an astonishing speed. Ah! Please spare us. The hunters screamed in shock. However... Huh? They noticed that the spider silk binding them had been severed. At that moment, the hunters who had been suspended in the air flopped to the ground like marionettes with their strings cut. Ah! Ouch! The hunters clutched their injured backs, writhing on the ground in agony. They abruptly lifted their heads and tried to track the crow's figure as he fought. Their eyes widened. Insane. They couldn't believe the absurd spectacle unfolding before them. The masked man was tearing away the spider's carapace with his bare hands. If the defense is high, just tear away the shield. Suho exclaimed inwardly. Strength, 51. His biceps swelled as if they were about to burst, and sweat poured down like rain. The more he tore away, the more the spider's struggles intensified. He desperately withstood her writhing using just his core strength and sheer might. Suddenly, Suho's eyes flashed with determination. The quest reward. He pulled out the reward he had saved for moments like this. The following reward will be given. Reward 1. Health restoration, unchecked. Accept reward. At that moment, a refreshing energy swirled around, and his condition was fully restored. Perfect. Suho tightened his grip and exerted more force into it. However, it still wasn't enough. I need more power. But he instinctively thought of a way to replenish his lacking strength. Ruler's authority. An invisible hand that had been hovering in the air briefly overlapped with Suho's right arm, just like the time he had thrown Han Jae-hyuk into a wall. Dark energy seeped into Suho's arm, and eventually, the largest part of the carapace was torn off like a lid, revealing Arachne's insides. He directed his fist in a straight line and slammed it down. Skill, Smash Level 1 has been acquired. The spider's hefty body crumpled in half under the immense pressure. Giant tomb spider has been defeated. Level up. Level up. The spider collapsed, unable to even scream. Stepping on its body, Suho's hand tore out the artifact that had been living within the creature. Item, obtained Rakken's Fang 2. A sword identical to Rakken's Fang appeared in Suho's hand. It even had a similar personality. Who dares to covet the monarch of Fang's sword? A sinister voice pierced Suho's mind. I shall devour your flesh. Red energy emanated from the sword and enveloped Suho, but shadows rose from under his feet and swallowed the sword. The previously dominant red energy diminished. What is this energy? Could it be the monarch of shadows? Is this some kind of catchphrase you guys use? Suho chuckled and asked the sword he had acquired first. Suddenly, the two Raken's fangs resonated with each other. Item: Raken's fangs acknowledge each other. Sanctuary of Beasts has been activated. Simultaneously, a series of system messages began to appear in front of Suho. Passive skill, unknown, has been acquired. Passive skill, unknown, has been acquired. One passive skill was added to the skill information window, which opened automatically. Skills: passive skill, unknown, max level. What is this? Just as Suho expressed confusion about this unexpected situation, his shadow extended in all directions as if we're about to engulf the entire world, and time came to a standstill. Where am I? In a daze, Suho looked around. He found himself standing alone at the edge of a desolate horizon, a world of perfect emptiness. The crow mask he had been wearing and the sword in his hand had disappeared and were nowhere to be found. Baru. Suho tried to call for the ant beast, but no words came out of his mouth. Is this a dream? As he entertained that thought, a sudden voice reached him. This is not your dream. Suho opened his eyes wide and looked ahead. A man was looking at him from the far end of the horizon. He appeared to be well over 2 meters tall and garbed in what appeared to be fur. The man exuded a wild and untamed aura. In fact, the primal energy he emitted was far more than just an aura. He was the embodiment of wildness. Greetings. You are indeed his descendant. The man bared his sharp fangs and smiled at Suho. Who are you? My name is Raken. I am the eternal spirit killed by the monarch of shadows, the man answered. At that moment, the system displayed a message in front of Suho. The king of beasts, the monarch of fangs, is watching you. Suddenly, an enormous presence emanated from the man, and Suho felt the ferociousness of an indomitable predator as his eyes widened. A bear? A lion, a shark, a crocodile, or a venomous snake? No. A king. He realized that the man before him was Raken, the true king of the beasts. As the realization dawned on him, the king of beasts' silhouette grew larger in his line of vision. Behind the towering human, a tremendously large, pure white wolf was gazing down at him. HM? Do you see my true form? Truly remarkable talent. The colossal wolf extended his tail as if intrigued. Naturally, you must possess immense power, for you pulled me out of my drifting of a desolate world and called me here. I called you? Suho wore a puzzled expression. Yes. I'm not sure how, but you've awakened me. Thanks to you, my soul, which had been resting eternally, now dreams of you. Dream? That's right. You are inside my dream. Raken chuckled softly and looked around before bursting into a faint, hollow laughter. There's nothing here. What else would it be? Dreaming was beyond the dead. Therefore, this dream was nothingness itself. Quite amusing, isn't it? The once mighty roar of the monarch of fangs, who killed and trampled many beasts in his lifetime, has been reduced to mere words in a dream. He turned his gaze back to Suho. The young human who had inherited the powers of the monarch of shadows, the small and fragile human child before him, was his only source of stimuli in his dream of emptiness. This is it, then. Raken's gaze deepened. From now on, you will be my only source of amusement. His lips curled upwards. A deceased monarch was bound to eternal rest, a world of emptiness where all sense of self vanished and not even dreams were dreamt. But this was no longer the case. The king of beasts, the monarch of fangs, is watching you. The same message from earlier was repeated. Hee hee. From now on, I can observe your life through dreams. I'm truly looking forward to it. Suho furrowed his brows at Raken's words. You can observe me through dreams? How? Why are you asking me that? Your powers brought me here in the first place. My powers? Suddenly, the new skill he received came to his mind. Rakan chuckled at his puzzled reaction and continued, "Don't worry. I can't see every moment of your life. I can only observe you when you use my power." "Your power? You mean the Rakan's fangs, right?" "Yes." "Oh, I can also see you when you're with my descendant." "Gray?" "Yes, that's the name you gave him, right? I'm grateful that you took in my descendant without killing him." "It seems that you've added enjoyment to my desolate eternal rest," Rakan said, chuckling as he contemplated something. Then, a mysterious light radiated from his massive body and descended upon Suho. "The king of beasts, Feng monarch Rakan bestows his blessing upon you." Suho looked at his body, puzzled by the light washing over him. "Blessing, Rakan's aegis has been activated."